William Morrow and HarperAudio present The Duke Starts a Scandal, a novel by Sophie Jordan. Performed by Karen Cass. For the first little girl in my life, my sweet niece Shelby, we have been kindred souls since the day you were born. You will forever own a piece of my heart. Prologue. It was her own fault, she supposed. She should have known better than to be caught out in the countryside after dark amid a storm. She was no green girl, no untested maid. Susanna Lockhart was the Duke of Penning's housekeeper, and she held herself higher than such foolish behaviour. Susanna minded her steps in the falling darkness. She knew these lands well. Every well-trod path, every pasture, every field of wild flowers was known to her like the back of her hand. Still, in the fast-fading light, one could not be too careful, and she had no wish to turn an ankle. The last thing she needed was to be relegated to her bed. How would she serve Penning Hall then? Her boots plodded along cautiously over the ground, for all that she was eager to reach the warmth and safety of the hall. She was envisioning the cosy fire in the kitchens, a bowl of cook's heavenly pottage waiting for her, the fragrant steam wafting to her nose as she filled her stomach with the thick, savoury broth. Susanna shook her head in disgust. She should have returned hours ago. She had spent far too long in the village. At least the basket she held was now empty and lighter for it. It swung easily, looped around her arm. The vicar and Mr. Gupta had been most grateful for the baked goods she brought them today. The Penning cook was renowned in these parts, and Susanna made certain to spread the wealth of her culinary talents to the good people of Shropshire. The storm had rolled in suddenly, darkening the skies prematurely. She should have had another hour of light. The rain started with a few fat drops, landing on her nose, cheek, hair. Then the skies opened in a heavy deluge. She was soaked immediately. Her steps grew laboured, the wet, spongy ground sucking at her boots. The familiar path curved, and she stopped, breathing heavily, looking down the hill to the grand residence of the Duke of Penning spread out in sprawling splendour below. Lights twinkled in the many windows, beckoning her. Home. It should not have been to a woman of such humble birth, but it was more home to her than the one she left behind so many years ago. Almost there. Dry clothes, a warm fire, and a hearty meal were only a short walk away. She heard the horse and rider before she saw them. The pounding of hooves rang like thunder, rivaling the loud rumblings in the sky. The staccato thuds increased, growing closer. She turned, whirled around, just as beast and man rounded the path, straight for her. Her scream was lost in the air, swallowed up by rain and the clap of thunder and the horse's panicked neigh. She flung up an arm in front of her as though that would stop the violent impact, as though that would shield her, save her from imminent collision. As terror seized her, so too did a sense of mortification. Regret, coupled with a sense of shame that she should die this way and not in her bed at a ripe old age. Indeed not. Trampled to death. That would be her ignominious end. The horse reared. Hooves clawed the air overhead in a wild frenzy, and she fell back, landing hard on the wet ground in her attempt to scramble out of the way. She bit the inside of her cheek, and the coppery taste of blood filled her mouth. She turned her face and jammed her eyes tightly shut, recoiling, shrinking inside herself as she waited for the sensation of steel hooves to come down, to cut into her flesh and bones and smash her apart, leaving her broken in the mud. They never came. There was no pain, no breaking of her body. Instead, a litany of stinging curses burned her ears, and the earth shook as the horse came down near her head, shuddering the ground, spraying her with fresh mud. Near her head, though. Not on her head. There was that blessing. A body landed not far, with an oomph
Sample complete. Ready to continue?